Greetings, Dr. Mark Winton here, and I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some of the areas covered for the hate crimes exam number 1. I have posted a review guide in your course, and so I would highly recommend taking a close look at that. A lot of times students have told me that they take those areas and begin to outline and then add more details for their area, so they have kind of a comprehensive outline of all those areas, or they know where the material is, they've read it several times, they've looked at the PowerPoints, the YouTubes, and they have everything together ready for the exam. Basically, it's 50 multiple choice and true-false questions. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 are covered, and also the theory presentation, which is a PowerPoint of its own, and also a YouTube video. And so some of the areas, and I'm just going to try to give you a couple of tips or hints to see if I can help out here. And I have my notes in front of me as well. But, probably the first thing we wanted to do in the course was to define hate crime. And you see there's a lot of different definitions. I want you to know the general themes about how hate crimes are defined, and that gets into what groups are included in the definition of hate crimes. And I just want you to review the general patterns. I'm not going to say, okay, California, does the state of California include gender in their hate crime laws? I want to get away from that, because anyone can look that up. What you need to know is what groups are protected, and whether those groups are protected at high rates or low rates, or if a majority of states protect those groups that have hate crime laws, or a minority do, if it's relatively rare to have that particular group protected. So you start looking at patterns of groups that are protected or not protected. And then you also want to look at kind of the history of hate crimes that they go over, and when did they emerge, how did they take place, what kind of changes occurred, what happened at state level, what happened at federal level in general. And also you want to look at the arguments of having hate crime laws, and also the arguments of problems or constitutional issues with hate crime laws. And you want to differentiate between, for example, hate crimes and hate speech, and they're different, and different not only in definition but also in legal consequences. A couple of areas I want you to know about: the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act, the Federal Hate Crime Statistics Act, and the Anti-Defamation League's Model Statute. Basically, what did those contain? What did they say? What do they do? You need to know the differences between motive and intent, and you can read on the review guide some of the other areas that I focused on related to gender-based crimes, police reporting of hate crimes, reporting in general, which groups are more likely to report, also training that prosecutors and police have on hate crimes, and why we run into problems solving hate crimes in the first place. Also, there's several questions on Levin and McDevitt's offender motivations, their typology of hate crime offenders, so you want to really carefully look at that. And then there's some questions about hate crime theories. Some of the main theories that I went over were authoritarianism, situational factors, differential association, the medical model, the psychoanalytic model, strain theory, symbolic interaction, social learning, and the sociobiological model. And then there also are a few questions from the Pulse case study. There's two articles that I posted a link to, and so you want to take a close look at that, because that gets into the whole idea of looking at problems classifying hate crimes, what type of hate crime that would be considered, if it was considered a hate crime, and looking at terrorism versus hate crimes versus mass shooting. What's going on there as far as trying to look at those differences or definitions. And if you stuck around and you listened to this video, I'm not going to give you the answer to the first question. I'm going to give you the first question. Okay, this is a true-false question. The precise groups that are included in the definition of hate crime vary from state to state. True or false? I'll read that one more time. The precise groups that are included in the definition of hate crime vary from state to state. True or false? Now I'm not going to give you the answer. I think you'll know that pretty readily. But also that's kind of the questions I'm getting at, and focusing on some general patterns and themes rather than real specific when it comes to the states and different hate crime laws. But you will want to know specifics when it comes to the typologies and the theories. You want to be clear about those. And one other recommendation I might make in looking at the theories is to think about how you would apply those to different types of situations. Or maybe even take a hate crime that you are familiar with, that occurred, the same crime. You take that crime and now you're going to apply each theory to that crime and see how well it explains that hate crime. How do you use these specific theories to explain your case study, your hate crime? And I think that helps you to get thinking about some of the benefits of the theory as well as some of the limitations. So that may be helpful as well. And I think, with reading the chapter, taking notes, looking at the PowerPoints, we have outline PowerPoints of the chapters and also the additional material on theories and the additional material on the Pulse case study. And I think you should do really well on the exam. And this wraps up this video. Thank you.